Move in a bit close, people, so everyone can see in here.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome here this morning. First of all, I'd like to pay tribute to the original owners of this wonderful land that we live in, and I'll ask Jared Fogarty to come forward, please. Thanks, Jared. Your lungs, not mine, mate. This morning, I'd like to talk about, I just read a book that my daughter gave me for Christmas, and I tried to shorten a book about 2 inches thick down to about 800 words. It's a bit hard, but bear with me. This morning I'd like to recall a story about a horse who was named Bill. I can't tell you the rest of his name because there's children present here this morning, but you can find it. He was a whaler, larger than the rest, made a terrific pack horse, quiet but unable to be ridden by one man. His minder at the sea voyage to Egypt was Banjo Patterson, who would be his vet in charge of several horses. Patterson was cautious of Bill because of his reputation. Bill bowed to no one, and Banjo hated bosses or being told what to do, so a mutual respect developed between the two. Whilst loading, they tried to house him in the lower deck. He refused to budge, and then he moved to the top deck again, and he still wouldn't move. Patterson then looked at Bill and said to the loaders, he does not like the fetid bottom deck, or does he like the idea of being splashed on the top deck, which leaves him the middle deck, or we leave him here behind. Bill was led down to the middle deck, well lit, ventilated. Banjo led him in like a docile doe into a stall, giving him no trouble at all. They faced each other, and as he closed the door, onlookers swore they saw Bill wink his approval. During the voyage, some horses died on the bottom deck and others on the other stalls on the top were washed overboard. After arriving in Egypt, Harry Chalker noticed a young officer, Michael Shanahan, who showed skills as a horseman and a leader. He would be known today as a horse whisperer. When they landed at Gallipoli, Bill was a leading pack horse and was steadfast in his work except when somebody tried to ride him. His loads bordered on around the 400 kilograms up steep gradients. After a stiff battle, Shanahan was supervising the orderly about this, and the orderly replied, "That's Bill and nobody can ride him. Someone was silly enough to try. Bill hurled him that high, it took him a while to land back on Mother Earth and broke his arm in 3 places." Shanahan walked up to Bill as the 2 more stretcher cases were loaded on his board back, and as the orderly said, "Damn best back horse we have." Everybody noticed Bill along with the cheery Englishman John Simpson and his small donkey. Between them they retrieved many wounded. One day Simpson's luck ran out. It was his turn to lead up the front of Bill, and when they spotted another fallen soldier, a spray of shrapnel hit both Simpson and his donkey. Bill and his handler rushed forward. Simpson's body was limp, was placed on Bill. The ANZACs applauded, but they were muted as they saw Simpson's life was lifeless. Not long after, Shanahan was looking around the horses when he came across an ungainly-looking mare called Penny. This comes into the later on in the program. It was a pack horse. It came to pass it was Bill's girlfriend, and nobody was allowed to get near her. Shanahan saw the huge potential in Bill. His courage was evident to all circumstances. He was afraid of no man, and no man was his master. His reaction when fired on and hit twice in a dispatch run at Gallipoli had demonstrated a will to ride on even though disabled. He was stronger than any other animal that would have passed through the Western Front in the Middle East. He was loaded with 400 kilograms and come through with flying colours. On August the 14th, 1916, the Battle of Romania had begun, and during the battle, Shanahan heard survivors calling. He turned back and told 2 troopers to cover him. He found them as the Turks were closing in. Bill charged at the 2 Turks, who were crushed by his onslaught. Shanahan told the 4 troopers to climb onto Bill and hang on. Bill carried all 5 back safely. After a drink, Bill was ready to go again. During a later battle, Shanahan was shot on the right thigh, and kept on urging his troops into battle for an hour, and then slumped unconscious. Bill suspected his rider was hurt and galloped to the vet hospital. And then they found out that Bill's fighting days were over, as his mentor Shanahan's leg was later amputated. About a fortnight later, the Major was asked about Bill. He was told he was a legend, and he brought you back, not to us, but to the vet hospital. So at least he knew which hospital to go to. As the war drew to a close, the word was out that no horses were to return to Australia. Allenby's staff wanted a suitable horse, so Allenby could ride out to present medals to the ANZAC Mounted Division. His staff were given a horse called William. "He's a whaler, sir." Allenby got onto Bill's back, tried to get him to move, and by kicking him in the flanks. Bill took off to the delight of the troopers on parade. Chevelle recognised Bill from Gallipoli. They caught him before he threw Allenby, and a short time later his handler was told to get Bill out of sight before he was shot. Patterson, in charge of the mounts, disciplined the private who gave Bill to Allenby staff by sending him to Cairo for a week on full pay and expenses. So they haven't changed much, have they? Later on, the Jericho Cup was held about 6 p.m. after the heat of the day eased, and Mullah, I forget his name, was Bill's Aboriginal jockey and handler who rode him bareback. As they turned to the 2.5 mile mark, Bill was fifth, and he could smell water, and as they approached the line, Bill was a half a length in front. But little be known that the horse that was in front was the one that got bashed up by Bill because he looked at Penny, his mate. So he gave him a wide berth and let Bill get past. But anyway, he never stopped until he got to the waterhole, where Bill reared up, threw the jockey and decided to have a drink. The jockey turned round, patted Bill as he drank, and said that he'd run his own race. I was only there for the ride. Bill was involved in other raids, but mainly as a pack horse. The order came out that no horse was to be returned to Australia. Those who were not sold were to be shot. Sutherlands saw the young Aboriginal lad with Bill and said, "I have an idea." A short time later, he reappeared with 8 mules and 4 horses, including Bill and his girlfriend Penny. They were shipped to Gallipoli. On loading, some money changed hands and said, "I will be back with 8 mules and 2 horses, as per the order." At a small village, a local man, and this small village is just north of Suvla Bay, recognised Bill from his dispatch runs. They were left in his care with instructions he was not to be ridden. In conclusion, there is a bronze statue in Munburra, which is 340 kilometres southwest of Sydney and 125 kilometres northwest of Canberra, entitled "Retreat from Romania," where Bill carried Shanahan and 4 troopers to safety, and Shanahan earned the Distinguished Service Order. People who knew of Bill and Penny have visited the tiny village where they lived out their days. A century later, Australians swear there are horses who look like the sizable whaler, lest we forget. Now I'd like to call on the Acquired Taste Choir, please.